Rita, what the hell do we talk about?
I don't know. So didn't we have this problem last week?
And we were like, hey, at least next week it's going to be a good game.
Yeah.
At least we'll probably have something to talk about. It'll be a little bit more... the hell do we have to talk about on this post-game show?
And here's the thing, right? Like, I don't know about you guys, but I'm still cautious about this whole thing because I'm not used to this. I'm honestly used to a defensive domination.
I hear you.
But from an offensive standpoint, unless if you're old enough to remember the first the teams from the first couple years,
96, right,
96, where they had a high-powered offense, but they didn't have any defense.
They had none. Zero.
Yeah, no, so they went 4-12, but they could score with the best of them.
Lot, yeah.
So I'm not used to seeing an offense this high potent and having a competent defense at the same time. I don't know what this is about.
This is the funny part, right? Like a week ago, we were like, hey, at least there'll be something to talk about. This week, you feel much better about this football team than you did a week ago when they were, winning a game by 1 billion points.
Yep.
It is the Project Game Day postgame show from the Live Casino Hotel Studios. I'm Glenn. She's Rita. We're going to talk about it, but I don't know what there is to say. And this is a really difficult spot to be in as a talk show host because I got to do 5 more shows, actually 6 more shows until they play another football game because they don't play until Monday night next week. And I don't have an effing clue what to say because I guess what you're alluding to, Rita, is I'll be apprehensive until they win a Super Bowl, right? Like,
right.
This is football.
Absolutely.
This is football. Football, goofy things happen, and unfortunately, as one of the things we pointed out this week, the Ravens have been very fortunate injury-wise of late.
Yeah.
While, yes, Tony Jefferson is out, the truth is they've played better with the guys that have been on the field than they were with Tony Jefferson on the field. And I'm trying to say this the right way. I don't think they're better because they don't have Tony Jefferson. I think they don't have Tony Jefferson. They happen to have been better than they were with them on the field.
Yep.
Outside of that, they've been extremely fortunate injury-wise. Once they got Jimmy Smith back. They've had unbelievable good fortune in the injury department.
Absolutely.
Is that going to continue?
We don't know.
Year? Not typically the way that it works in the NFL, but teams sometimes win titles without their guys, right? The Ravens, the last time they won a Super Bowl, had no Ladarius Webb, had no Jameel McClain, and yet won a Super Bowl anyway. Health is the biggest thing that jumps out at you, right? Like, can they keep doing this? Well, if they stay healthy, they're going to have a great chance of doing it. The league is weird. It's a weird league in which sometimes just on a given day something goofy might occur, right? Are the Ravens going to win the rest of their games? Well, tell me the scenario where you don't expect them to. Based on what they've done in boat racing the Texans, in beating the crap out of the Patriots and winning against the Seahawks in Seattle. Tell me the game that they play the rest of the year that you don't expect them to win.
I mean, the only game that comes to mind that says maybe this is a problem is obviously the 49ers game, right?
But, you're getting them at home.
You're getting them at home, so that's an advantage,
right.
Obviously. Jimmy Garoppolo, to me, although he is a capable quarterback, he does sometimes scratch, head scratching things.
Sure.
And it's funny because I literally just skipped right over them being away next Monday night in LA.
Well, in part
the Rams.
Because the Rams have
and the Rams went to the Super Bowl last year.
But they've played so poorly recently.
They played poor. Their offensive line hasn't been good. I mean, there's a few things here that's just not clicking.
I actually had somebody reach out to me today and say, what do you think the line will be for next week? I imagine the Rams will still be favored, but I think it'll be like 1.5.
I was going to say a pick 'em. I was going to say a pick 'em.
At this point, I don't know
maybe
how the
even.
I honest to God don't know how the Ravens aren't favored on the road. I don't know what is it that you look at and Vegas would say, well, here's why we think the Rams have a chance to win this football game. Like, the way these teams have been playing, I think the Ravens still have to be road favorites in Los Angeles. That's where we're at. I mean, that's where we're at with how good this thing is. And yes, today the question becomes, is this a statement that this defense is ready to be this? Because if it is, I don't see anywhere. The one thing we talked about maybe having a concern about going into this week was the lack of pass rush against Deshaun Watson,
which has obviously been definitely improving over the weeks.
Right. Clearly, not only was it not a factor, there was no lack of pass rush today against Deshaun Watson.
And I've seen improvement of them, I think, week to week. And so I probably, and I know that there's some football left to play. So, but let me say for now, I definitely think that I need to somewhat apologize because I think earlier this year when they weren't getting any pressure, when they weren't playing really good defense, I said via Twitter that I didn't think that Wink had the players to be able to sustain what he was able to do last year.
Right.
I believe that the personnel, it wasn't the scheme, it was more so the personnel. And I don't know what he's done differently. Maybe he's done nothing differently. Maybe some guys have finally just kind of clicked together. I got Jalen Ferguson is a guy that I think had a little bit of a slow start, but now we're starting to see him emerge a little bit and do some of the things that he was supposed to be well known to do in college. And so maybe now it's just everything is clicking on every cylinder. We do know that the Texans had some issues on the offensive line. I think Laramie Tunsil has had some injuries, so he's not 100% healthy himself, and that could be an advantage. But at the same time, I have to give this defense credit to where it's due. They have absolutely improved over the past few weeks, and they've done nothing but get better. The addition of Marcus Peters makes them better. And Jimmy Smith coming back makes them better. I mean, it literally makes everybody
obviously
better.
The coverage has helped significantly in allowing for them to be more of a rush. There's no doubt. The Ravens decided to play that card at the trade deadline. Instead of improving the rush, they thought they could do it by just getting better coverage-wise. The analytics have suggested that can be backed up. Again, right now, it's working for them. Will that continue? We will see.
Yeah.
But at the moment, it's certainly working for them. Add that with, to me, boy, there's a couple of major storylines for this team.
Yes.
One is the complete revamp of the linebacker position in the middle of the season.
Yeah,
right?
and just how they've just plugged in people and they've just come in and they've played well.
Correct.
That's amazing.
That's unbelievable. The other to me is that Brandon Williams is a different guy.
Yes.
Like, we always thought Brandon Williams was a good football player. But what he was a good football player at was taking on the double teams and stopping the run. Brandon Williams this season has turned into a guy that's making plays in the backfield.
You know why? He heard us talking about him.
Oh, you think that's what it is? I was trying to figure out. He already got his contract.
We gave Brandon Williams a lot of flack, I believe, towards last year in terms of how he played compared to how much he was getting paid.
Right, correct. And that was always what we said. Brandon Williams is a good football player, but he's getting paid like a game changer, and he's not playing like a game changer. He's playing like a good football player.
And so now people someone asked me, a Cleveland media guy, he tweeted to me today earlier, like, I still cannot believe you guys lost to the Browns the way you did. And I said, well, Brandon Williams is a big difference. They put Pat Ricard there.
By the way, Pat Ricard's played really well this season.
No,
he's not Brandon Williams.
He's not Brandon Williams. He's not Brandon Williams, guys. I mean, let's be clear. I love Pat Ricard. I love what they've done to him on both sides of the football. But Brandon Williams is a dominant player. He's paid like a dominant player for a reason, and he's giving us reason why he's as good as advertised.
He's become that dominant player.
Absolutely.
He has become absolutely a game wrecker as this season has gone along. And that's been a massive difference in this defense getting to the point where it is. Again, if this defense is ready to match this offense, I don't know how anybody's beating them. Rita, I said something that I did something I never do. I never do this bit on Twitter. But when the Ravens scored in the second quarter to go up 7-0, I said at that point, game's over. and that's my pragmatic. You know my deal. I'm the pragmatic.
Yes,
I'm
that's not you.
Like, I'm the cynic. I'm the
that
all
is
of those
not
things. You. But this is what they're doing at this point. Unless you come out and punch them in the mouth, you're not beating this football team.
If you go up 10-0 on them, I'm not saying that the Ravens won't stay in the game. Let me say this by any means.
It's such an important thing, Rita. We might find out the Ravens can be a team that can come back and down big.
And that's the thing, right? That's the one thing
that I think you can't beat them unless you do that.
Right. And you need to go up on them, to me, and honestly, 10-0 really ain't much. Maybe 17-0 for you to be like, I don't know what this team is when they have to come back a deficit like that. 10-0, I'm still kind of like, that's nothing for the Ravens. They can find a way.
Right.
17-0, okay, right? And still, I think that they are built to hang around. It doesn't matter. They've been able to hang around really good teams because in the beginning of that Seahawks game, that to me, they were flat. They didn't look prepared. And then somehow, some way, they just kind of turned it around a little bit. And some things went their way, of course. But then they found a way to stick into that ball game. I know that they weren't behind by much, but it felt like Seattle was going to find a way to dominate their football game. And the Ravens pulled that narrative back.
I mean, the
quickly.
season changed. This is the other thing, too. I tweeted something about this. Let's go back to moments before Russell Wilson throws that lollipop to Marcus Peters.
Yeah.
Like 3 seconds before that, as the Seahawks are marching down the field, getting ready to take a 2-possession lead. and knowing that the Ravens had the Patriots coming up after that. Go back to that moment, right, and pull me aside and say, hey, by the way, I've seen the future. The Ravens are going to be 8-2 and are going to have kicked the Texans' asses in a few weeks, right? Yeah. And I would have said, okay, Chief. All right, sure it is. The season utterly changed in that one moment. And again, to take nothing away from Marcus Peters, who stepped up and made the play, but Russell Wilson makes the worst throw of his career, and it absolutely changes the Ravens season. And look at where we are now. It's wild to watch it unfold.
It is.
The Project Game Day postgame show is brought to you by Wise Markets. Need groceries today but don't have time to shop? Order online with same-day pickup or delivery at Wise Markets. Wise to go online. Now that's convenient. 41-7, the final score. Let's get to some thoughts from AJ. He says Patrick Ricard is an absolute monster. Look, Ricard's played really well.
No argument.
And they've figured out a way to make this work with him doing both things where it hasn't taken away. When he gets the ball in his hands on the outsides, he is a bowling ball.
Yes.
I mean, he is
hard to bring down. I mean, he literally keeps his legs churning. He's really fun to watch. And I know this is probably a horrible comparison because Kyle Juszczyk only played one side of the ball, but on offense he reminds me of him a little bit. It's just fun to watch.
It's weird they don't throw the ball to him on first down every drive, which is strange.
What concept is that?
From John, dominant win. I can't remember one better than this one. I would have never imagined they would get 6 or 7 sacks in a game, much less against Watson. That's one of the
7 sacks, by the way.
Yeah, that's one of the things too that I'll point out. Like, this is the completeness of how they ended up playing is a huge part of why there's no mixing words here. The Ravens are the best team in the NFL today.
Easy to me.
I don't even know.
Easy to me.
You know, until last week, I thought the Saints might have been the most complete team in the NFL, and maybe ultimately we'll look back on last week and it'll just be sort of an anomaly that it was a weird day, right? But the Ravens,
and it happens, right?
Sure, this is the NFL.
And
if I had to guess, the Ravens are going to have a weird day. For a quarter, they were having a weird day today,
Absolutely.
Right? It just so happened to be the Texans had no ability to take advantage of it. And again, somebody in Houston will wonder how this game goes if the officials don't utterly botch that pass interference thing.
You know what? And so, yes, I do believe that there's some momentum that you lose a little bit when you don't get an obvious pass interference.
And it's such a massive...
I still don't think it has a whole lot to do with
I'm not going to sit here and tell you that I think the Texans somehow win the football game
I know
because
what you mean.
It. But there is
It does help. It helps.
It's such a huge play.
I agree.
At a time where the game was still competitive, that you can't. There's a part of you that wonders, hey, what might this have looked like if they get that call right and the Texans have the ball on the 1 yard line, presumably punch it in, they get a score.
So maybe they lose by 2 scores instead of whatever they just lost by.
I don't know what it looks like at that point. I have no idea, but. Clearly, the completeness of this game is why we're sitting back and saying this is the best team in the NFL today. This is the team to beat in the National Football League. We'll see if someone does it. They might. Again, football's weird. It might be that somebody beats them.
Very weird.
Football's a weird ass sport.
Yep.
But today, the Ravens are the team to beat in the NFL. Point blank. Full stop.
Yep.
From Paul, he's got a theory. We said, why is it Brandon Williams playing? He's got a theory. He says Earl Thomas called out Brandon Williams, and that's why he's playing better.
I mean,
I'm not ready to do it, but
I'm not ready. I mean, if he was hurt, he was hurt. I don't really know what we want.
And I'm still kind of pissed off about Earl Thomas fighting Brandon Williams that day.
Yeah, I mean, my thing is,
Earl Thomas had dogged it on the long touchdown run. I'm still pretty pissed off about that.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, he said, you said what you said. I'm not getting hurt. Which is, look, I'm not mad that you're like, I've done that before and I've gotten hurt and I didn't want to do that again. You didn't. I didn't want you to say that out loud though. Like,
there's a little bit of like a. At loud, you say, I should have gone down.
Yeah, just lie to us a little bit. But the Brandon Williams thing, I don't know, because if he really was, I mean, he was a late scratch. He literally was a late scratch. He got hurt allegedly in practice the day before, and then they said he couldn't really, do it. And if he couldn't do it, he couldn't do it. I don't know, guys. If the man was hurt, I mean, he literally played the next week, and so maybe he did tweak something a little bit, and maybe he needed a week off.
Brandon Williams has earned the respect from me.
Absolutely.
That if he's hurt, he's hurt. I got no issue with that whatsoever.
Absolutely.
And by the way, if by not playing that day, it's allowed him to be the dude that he's been
I'm
for
fine
the
with
last
that.
month and a half.
So look, if that works for you, if you want to ride with that theory, I ain't mad because he has played very well.
He's been a monster.
Yeah.
for the last month and a half. Brandon Williams has been a wrecker.
He has been
for the last month and a half. Everything he's done, he has been an absolute beast.
Yep.
He's played like Haloti Nada for the last month and a half. That's how good Brandon Williams has been.
Yep.
Charles, I'm not sure. Charles says, yes, Earl Thomas forced them 2 tackles to punch teams in the face. I don't remember. Maybe we said so. I don't know. I'm sorry. I don't know, Charles. I apologize. It's on me. I'll own it. Paul from Orlando. Biggest takeaway today for me was the Ravens defense. Sure. Getting sacks from Bowser and Ferguson in the same game. Impressive.
Bowser had a sack. I must have went to the bathroom when that happened. I missed it.
I don't remember if he got the sack. I do remember him making a play before the end of the first half.
Okay. So, I
guess maybe I could pull up the old box score.
Yeah, I must have missed that one, guys.
I don't know.
I'll take your word for it.
Also, it could have come later in the game where I sort of started checking out.
So, we saying 2 weeks in a row, Tyus Bowser has made a play?
He's made a few plays.
Yeah.
I mean, look, I hope that's signs of things to come.
Hey, listen, man, because I'm tired of looking at Juju Smith-Schuster every time and looking at Tyus Bowser like, well, when you going to do something?
Look, none of us are sitting here wanting these guys to be.
Absolutely not.
When we say Tyus Bowser has been a wasted pick, it's not because we want it to be that way. It's because we've
played out that way.
Is that Tyus Bowser has been a wasted pick for the most part. Now, if he's turning into his own, if he got the message when they got rid of Tim Williams and said,
let me get my stuff together.
Get your S together and go be a football player, high fives all around. That's the story is they purposefully released Tim Williams, released him to give a message to the entire defense. At least that's what they planted to a couple of reporters they talked to.
But it obviously worked because he's been on 2 other teams and then I think he got cut from the
By the way, that's why alone with Tim Williams, if it was just we're cutting our losses, the guy's not the guy, that's fine. But what they planted at that time, what they said to some reporters, national reporters, was we're doing this as a message to everyone on that side of the ball.
Right. Everybody is expendable.
Right. What's happened in us getting punched in the mouth, what's happened the second half against the Cardinals, what happened against the Chiefs, what happened against the Browns, it's not going to be okay. All of you can go.
Yep.
We'll go down with a different group of guys. And remember when they started making that moves, we sort of sat back and said, okay, they can bring in a different group of guys if they want, but you're not pulling guys in off the street. They're going to be high-level football players.
And I'll be damned if they've been effective since they've come in.
They've been right about that. Those guys, specifically the inside linebackers, specifically Josh Bynes and LJ Ford.
And you know what, too? The motivation of being on a team that seems to be clicking and being really good and just look like a lot of fun.
By the way, Bowser was credited with 2 sacks.
Oh,
today,
wow.
So,
okay.
Yeah.
So
he did have the one right at the end of the first half.
Okay, that's I missed it.
And he apparently got a sack on McCarron at the end of the game. Then we just either we're already starting the show or we just didn't care at that point.
Yeah, okay. But let's take credit to guys that have come here, and I think that wanting to be in an environment that everybody is having fun, that people are winning, helps the level of play. So, is it Pico? Because I can never say it.
Dominic Pecco.
Pecco. Thank you. He came. His press conference from when he came and was, he said, "I'm happy to be here." He said all the things he said, and one of the last things that he said was, "And I'm excited to play with Lamar Jackson. I'm excited." And so I think sometimes when you are coming into a good situation, it absolutely helps your level of play.
You get a call from a team that's 7. If you're a free agent on the street and you get a call from a 2-7 team, you're happy to get the call because you just want a job.
You want the money.
You happen to get that call from a 7-2 team with an MVP caliber quarterback. You're doing cartwheels over that. That you get to walk into that situation where clearly things are quite good. You want to go find your agent and kiss him on the mouth.
Absolutely.
That's the best thing that you could ever actually have happen to you. No doubt. All of this works. It's a chicken and the egg thing, right? Like, are you winning because you have a good culture, or do you have a good culture because you're winning? I have typically found that it's the opposite. That you have a good culture because you're winning.
Yes, I think that's what happens. I think that's what happens.
You can have a bunch of great dudes. If you're losing, nobody really wants to walk in. It's not any fun for anybody. These could all be good guys that you want to spend time around otherwise. But typically, I found that the culture is directly impacted by what the team is doing on the field.
I agree with that. I agree with that.
That when we talk about, hey, they've got a winning culture, well, yeah, because they're winning. It's way more fun to come to work. Think about any business that you work in, right?
Yep. And it's way easier for guys to buy in when you're winning, as opposed to if you're not doing well. This is why teams like the Patriots are always good, because people buy into what happens in that organization. The same thing with the Ravens, right? People buy into Harbaugh. We've been very critical. I can't speak for you. Let me speak for me. I have been very critical of Harbaugh over time, and I'm sure you probably have had your say.
I think, look, a year ago we got to a point where I said I can't defend it, right? Where we sat, a year and a week ago at this point, right? Like, I couldn't defend it at that point.
And even the Chiefs game, right? And I came in here for that Chiefs game, and I had my opinions about how that game was coached. I did not think that game was well coached, and I had some words for Harbaugh. That being said, he is still a guy that people consider him to be a player's coach. He's a guy that has evolved, I'd say, a lot since that 2012 season when they had that situation happen in the bye week. And so people are going to play for him because they believe in the success that he's had here. So I agree that the winning culture leads to why you are so dominant and why people say this is a great organization. Right. Winning helps, always.
When you win, it makes it easier for everybody to come to work. Yep. It makes it so much easier for everybody to walk in and have a smile on their face and want to be around each other, and that takes nothing away from. I also think that there's a lot of really good dudes. I think there's a lot of guys that have the right attitude, and I think that starts with the quarterback.
That helps too.
Who clearly has the right attitude.
Absolutely.
And we'll talk more about that in a minute because I want to talk about the MVP thing when we come back from break. But when a team's winning, now everybody sees that this works. It's way easier to buy in when you look around and say, you know what, I was kind of skeptical of a couple things, but damn, if we didn't just go to Seattle and beat the Seahawks, and you know what, maybe it's time for me to get on board with what's going on around here. That's the way it works. And I think that was one of the things we saw play out a year ago with the players that were defensive of both quarterbacks, right? We're defensive of, hey, look, we did a lot of winning. Terrell Suggs would go to war for Joe Flacco. Why? Because they won all the time with Joe Flacco. They did a ton of winning.
Right, that's what I'm saying. Like, that's his teammate. They've won games. What is he supposed to say about a guy that they won a lot of football games
But when
with?
they started winning games with Lamar Jackson,
he said the same thing. I mean, but that's what he's supposed to do. You know what I mean? That's exactly what's supposed to happen.
But it's not even about doing it because you're supposed to. It's genuine.
I believe that.
I want to be around winners.
Yep.
That's what I want to be around.
Yep.
I want to be around winners. I've been around a guy who's done a lot of winning, so I defend it, and I respect that guy because he's a winner. And now I got another guy that comes in here, and he's a winner.
Yep.
I'm with that guy, too.
Yep.
Let me ride with a winner. That's
both
what I want to be
guys
around.
that were definitely criticized throughout. Well, Lamar's career has been short, but throughout Lamar's short career, and then Flacco's career, and he defended both guys. So I just when you're winning, it's easy to defend that guy.
Just let's go win. That's all we care about.
That's it.
I want to win. All right, Andrew Stecker, I just want to say that it's magical that we got consecutive weeks of incredible Lamar Jackson highlight plays, and we got Kevin Harlan calling one, followed by Ian Eagle calling the other. That's all. I mean, those to me are two of the three best guys. As far as play-by-play goes, my three guys are Harlan, Eagle, and Tirico. Those are my three. Yeah. Those are my dudes that I'll rock with no matter the sport, no matter the situation.
But the one from last week, man.
Well, Harlan would...
That one is going to be hard to,
Well, as far as plays go or calls?
I'm talking the call.
I mean,
he is Houdini. It's like my favorite.
Unfortunately, Lamar didn't get to finish the play. If he got to the end zone today,
but it was still a great run, nonetheless. But but when he spun out, and it was just like he was just as excited as we were watching it.
Ian Eagle knew it was coming. The moment that Lamar got away from the first guy in the backfield, he says something's about to happen here. It's just
you felt it.
Oh, it's magic.
Yeah.
And AJ says, speaking of which, did he just say Eagle? Let's go Eagles. Yes, obviously we all become big Eagles fans now in the hope of the Ravens getting
fly,
the
Eagles,
number
fly.
1 seed. No doubt on the road to victory. I'll do the whole thing. EAGLES.
Yes.
Eagles. Although I don't love the Patriots having 2 weeks after coming off a loss. I feel like they are going to be ready. All right, we'll come back in. I want to talk about the MVP thing because I had a take on my show this week. I brought something up. I think there's an obsession with the MVP thing that I'm just not on. I don't care that much about it. We're going to talk about it when we come back in. I need a minute and a half, then we'll be back in to wrap up the Project Game Day postgame show after the Ravens won by 1 billion points today against the Texans.
Hey, this is Stan the Fan. You know we're all hoping for a special season out of our football team. When it comes to dining out casually and affordably, I know a place is special every season. The Costas Inn at 4100 North Point Boulevard. Not only are they known all over for their great steamed crabs and crab cakes, they have a couple specials you want to keep in mind. Monday night is crab cake night. Tuesday night is ribs night. Wednesday night is steak night, partnered with half-price bottles of your favorite wines. And Thursday night is lobster night. So check out the Costas Inn this football season, and you may come back whatever the season. That's the Costas Inn, 4100 North Point Boulevard, 410-477-1975.
Need groceries today but don't have time to shop? Order online with same-day pickup or delivery at Wise Markets. Wise to go online. Now that's convenient.
This is Stan the Fan for Glen Burnie Transmissions, located right in the heart of Glen Burnie for almost 60 years. If you suspect you're having a transmission problem, GBT can save you hundreds of dollars over taking it to the dealers for a repair. Make an appointment for a free diagnostic and estimate. Call GBT at 855-728-1841. Their mission is simple: to provide excellent service at a reasonable price. Go to their website at gbt-online.com to check out all of the 5-star reviews. Let my friend Mark Schwartzman and his GBT team take the troubles out of transmission troubles. Call them today at 855-728-1841.
Respect. It's more than a word. In the U.S. Army, it is one of our core values, earned through selfless service to our nation and making a difference both at home and abroad. On the Army team, respect is earned daily. And now, in addition to earning respect, you may earn up to $40,000 in bonuses if you qualify. To learn more, visit goarmy.com/bonus or call 1-800-USA-ARMY, paid for by the U.S. Army.
Catch all of the action at your neighborhood Glory Days Grill, where we have tons of TVs to catch every moment of every game. Enjoy $6.99 burgers on Mondays, $5.99 nachos on Thursdays, and drink specials throughout the season to help you cheer on your favorite teams. Come in today and try something new from our seasonal menu. Glory Days Grill, great food, good sports.
You know, I'm glad Paul brought this up. He said, I'll be the first to admit, at the time of his signing, I wasn't wowed by the Ravens signing Ingram. He's turned out to be the perfect fit for this offense, both in his play, attitude, and leadership.
I'm curious to know
he's displayed
why.
so far. I'm going to say something, too, and it's not about whether or not I was wowed by it. It's that I was so hell-bent on Le'Veon Bell being the best fit for what the Ravens were doing offensively that no matter who they signed afterwards, there was going to be an amount of disappointment for me that it wasn't Le'Veon Bell.
Okay.
Right?
So it's not really directed towards
it had nothing to do with Ingram.
Ingram.
And in fact, if I go back to that time, I'm going to guess the things I would have said is I think Mark Ingram's a heck of a football player, and I think that at the cost, how could you be anything other than thumbs up to the signing? It was just I was so in on the idea that Bell, because of his skill set and what the Ravens were trying to do with speed, Bell was the perfect fit.
He thought he made the better fit.
Correct.
But that young boy can move now.
Oh, Ingram's been, look.
Well, he ain't as young as he ain't probably even as young as I think he is.
No, he's in his 30s.
Yeah,
no, he's not in his 30s yet.
But like the point is like he's been in the league for a while, right? He's considered a veteran in that, and he's still playing at a high level.
He's playing at an unbelievable.
I will say this, right? I wasn't over the moon about it, but I wasn't. I think I just kind of was like, oh, that's a good signing, and then just kind of went on about my day. You know what I mean?
He'll be 30 in December.
Okay. I was just, I thought it was a good signing, but I didn't have a real opinion about it, if that makes sense. And so now I'm like, well, this is why I don't work in the front office, because if someone says Mark Ingram is a free agent, do you want to go out there? I would have been like, I guess. What's nothing would have been one of the other options.
At the time, at the cost, there was no way to be down on it. There was no way to be down on them signing Mark Ingram at the cost that they got him. He was a quality football player at a good price. There was no way to be down on it. My only reaction was just, God, I wish it was Le'Veon Bell.
Yep.
I wish they had signed Le'Veon Bell, because I thought, again, in my mind, what they were doing offensively, what they were trying to be, Bell's skill set just seemed to be the absolute best fit. As it turns out, Mark Ingram's skill set has been perfect.
Yep.
He has caught the ball well.
Yes,
outside
he has.
of literally one fumble. That's the only complaint we have about Mark Ingram all year is one fumble. He's been outstanding.
He's
I'm
been
glad
fabulous.
You brought it up. All right, Rita, everybody's talking about the MVP thing. That's all anybody wants to talk about. Is Lamar going to be the MVP, right? That's all anybody wants to talk about.
Yes.
I have a strong statement about, or a strong feeling about this particular topic. I don't give a rat's ass. Now, it's not because I don't think he's not worthy of being the MVP. It's that, to me, worrying about the MVP is sort of like worrying about the Heisman Trophy. I worry about it if my team's not really good enough, and it's the thing we're going to have to celebrate this season.
Well, first of all, he's not. What do you mean? If your team's not good enough, he's not an MVP candidate.
Well, hang on. I'm going to make that comparison to the Heisman. When Robert Griffin III won the Heisman, Baylor wasn't that good. They were a winning team, but they weren't competing to get to the national championship game. They weren't a threat to do that. When Lamar won the Heisman at Louisville, they weren't a threat to get to the national championship game. They were good.
Well,
they weren't.
They were 3 in the nation at one point when they played Clemson.
After that happened, and at the point where Lamar ended up winning the Heisman, I remember,
making a point, like they were not a bad team.
Nobody's saying they were awful.
No, I'm just making a point that they were ranked really high.
When the calendar got to November, nobody thought that they were a threat to win a national championship. They were already out of the picture entirely at that point.
Yeah.
The point being, you obsess over the Heisman Trophy because it's what you're going to have as a fan.
It's a runner-up thing is what you're saying.
Right. Like, this season, we didn't get a national championship, but our guy was the Heisman Trophy winner, and that was fun.
Okay.
Cool. I feel similar about MVP. I'll be all worked up about MVP if I got no other fish to fry, right? Like, at the moment, I want Lamar Jackson to be so busy the night that they're announcing the MVP that he couldn't even be there to be concerned about it. I'm not worried about MVP because if it happens, swell. But if it happens and the Ravens aren't playing for the Super Bowl, I'm not gonna feel any better.
You don't care.
I'm not. It's not gonna be like, well, at least Lamar was MVP.
Yeah.
I'm going to be bummed that the Ravens weren't playing for the Super Bowl.
Yep.
And that's all that I'm going to be bummed about.
Yep.
That's the season that's set up. So when I say I don't care, it's not like, hey, I don't think he's worthy, or it's none of those things. It's if he does, great. If he doesn't, whatever. I'm worried about one thing. Are the Ravens playing for a Super Bowl title? That's what I'm worried about. Are they setting themselves up? And what I like most about him is that you get the sense that it's the exact same thing.
Well, we've heard him say it. We've heard him say,
and which is
this
somebody
is all
would
fun,
say it's him saying the right thing, but every one of his actions suggests.
I don't think that was disingenuous at all.
All that dude cares about
is winning.
That's it. He doesn't care about, I don't need to hang into football games any longer to try to pad my stats to win MVP. I care about one effing thing, winning the games. If he keeps playing like this and the Ravens keep winning games, he's probably going to end up being the MVP.
Right.
Russell Wilson, we'll see. Like, that's the direct. I mean, they just went and beat the 49ers this week. Russell Wilson's been incredible all year long.
Yes.
I know the Ravens beat the Seahawks, but that's not how you determine MVP. If by the way, if he plays like this all season long, the Ravens keep winning, and Russell Wilson happens to win the MVP, there will be no sweat off my ass in any way as a Ravens fan. I'll say, kudos for you, sir. You had a wonderful season. You're a damn good football player. It will mean nothing in whether or not Lamar Jackson's a great football player or had a great season or anything along those lines.
Yeah.
I can see all those things with my eyes. I don't need Lamar Jackson to win MVP in order to know those things are true.
Yeah.
If it happens, cool. It'll be, cool for him, right?
Yep.
He'll be able to say forever that he was NFL MVP and shove it back in people's faces. You didn't think I could play? Look, I'm the MVP.
Yep.
But he'll be able to do the same thing even if he doesn't win MVP because we're all watching what the dude is doing and we all know what the answer is about whether or not Lamar Jackson is a great quarterback.
Yeah.
So that's my sort of deal with the MVP thing.
I want both. That's my answer.
I mean, if it works out that
I
way.
want my cake and eat it too,
No,
Glenn.
I'm not telling you I don't.
I want them both.
I'm not saying I purposely don't want him to be the MVP.
I know you're not. You're saying if I could choose one or the other, I'm going to obviously pick a Super Bowl.
And it's not.
I'm choosing both.
Right. It's not remotely close to me. It's that I care desperately about one, and if the other comes along, okay.
Yeah.
I don't care at all about the one without the context of this. I don't care at all about MVP if the Ravens aren't playing for a Super Bowl.
I agree.
It will mean nothing to me.
So Cam is an example, right, where he's a guy that went to the Super Bowl and won MVP in the same year,
season,
right? I want that. I feel like that is within reach.
I'm for it if it plays out, but I care about one of them. Like, again.
I quasi care about one, and then I really care about the other.
I really care about one and don't care about
Well, for me, right, for me, as a person that was very high on him coming out of college, that watched a lot of him in college, for me, it is different because this is a young man that I've always believed was a great football player. And I really felt like he was unfairly examined and scouted by a lot of analysts and media. And so I would love nothing more for him to get his accolades because this is the guy who I've seen since the first game at Auburn. Has he gotten better? Yeah, sure. But I'm saying just some certain things like, he can't throw. I mean, he's always been able to throw inside the numbers. That's always been a thing for him. He's always been this dynamic. He's always been a great player. And now he has much better weapons. He didn't have that in Louisville. He did not have that.
He didn't have these three tight ends. He had
Jair Alexander and the other kid that the Ravens had on the practice squad. Jalen Smith.
Jair Alexander obviously was a cornerback.
But I'm saying that he obviously had those two impact players, and then everybody else was just kind of there.
Oh, I agree.
So my point is that this is a guy who's always been talented, but now he's talented, he's coached well, and he has guys that is going to help him level up. So it's a different ball game.
On board with all of it. And again, I'm not saying he shouldn't be the MVP.
I know. I know. For me, it's like, even though I don't know Lamar personally, I know know I joke a lot about being his godmother and stuff, but it's a little bit more personal for me because so many people have said so many things about this kid, and he's done nothing but defy every single odd, which I don't even know if that's defying the odd. He's always been this way.
And I certainly respect that there is more meaning to this for the black community than there can be for...
It's not even that, though.
But I'm not saying for you specifically. I'm saying in general.
It's just I want people to look at these guys and I see the point that you're trying to make. Okay, I see the point that you're trying to make. It's not about I want him to win because he's black. That's not it.
No.
I want him to win because he's a guy who was heavily criticized.
Right.
And it just so happens that he's black.
And it just happens to be that a lot of these guys that go through this all happen to be black.
Because they all say the same thing about guys like him. Well, he can run the ball, but can he throw the ball? Is he accurate? He's shifty. Blah, 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 blah.
Right.
And it's like, I don't know what y'all guys are watching because I see something completely different when I see this kid, and it's funny because now this Chris Sims highlight that he did prior to draft is like making its rounds again, where he evaluated all 5 guys and he went into this long rant. Like you can tell he was like upset in his rant about why Lamar checks off on all the boxes. Like he was literally annoyed by what's going on, and so now we live in this whole thing where everybody wants to make these opinions because we want people to respond to these things, and you're diminishing that kid's accolades. Well, now he's on the big stage and you can't do it.
I get that. I get what you're saying. Again, I'm gonna know all these things to be true whether or not he holds up a trophy at the end of holds up the MVP trophy.
Even if he didn't, though, Glenn, like he's already done much.
That's my point. Like there's no if Lamar Jackson's not the MVP because they just happen to choose Russell Wilson instead,
right?
So what?
Yep.
Like,
I get it.
What? You know what I mean?
I get it, but for me, it's a little bit more.
Or if it's because the Ravens have clinched something and they sit him for the last 3 games and somebody else,
now that I'm cool with.
Like, that's my point being, so what?
I'm cool with that part.
So it cost MVP?
Oh, yeah.
Set yourself up to win the Super Bowl.
Right, I'm with that.
Do the thing that matters. That's what I'm worried about.
Yeah.
All right, then we can be cool.
We always
I
cool.
guess that's true. That's not bad, Paul. Paul says, I keep forgetting Sam Cooke is on the team. I only remember he exists on extra points.
And can we honestly...
It's got to be sort of boring for poor Sam Cooke.
And probably Tuck, too. Tuck doing extra point. That's probably why he's a little rusty today with that one. He ain't kicking a whole lot of field goals like he was.
You can't help but wonder. I was wondering last week if it was because he was getting bored that he was trying
I'm telling you, I think he's not getting a lot of time.
It is weird,
he's
man.
bored.
It's weird.
I don't think it's because I don't think he's missing these things because he missed. I think it's just like, well, I ain't even getting kicks out here like that for real.
Right.
So, he just kind of missed one because he ain't getting that much run, guys.
I think he'll be all right.
He'll be fine.
He'll be all right. I think he'll be all right.
He'll be fine.
All right. At the NFL Chick on Twitter. We get you back in 2 weeks, right, for the Bills game?
Yes, I will be in L.A. next week for the Monday night game.
How long are you going out there? You getting
all week?
Oh, that's all right.
All week. I got family in California, so we're spending Thanksgiving
Very cool.
there. So
Very cool.
I will be back for the 49ers game.
All right, the 49ers game. Reed will be back with us in studio. So next week, Eric Arditi, Barstool RDT from Barstool Sports, will be in with us for the late night. It'll be a Monday night. We'll be here all night. Ravens-Rams. I'll be back with you tomorrow morning, 10 o'clock for Glenn Clark Radio. Bradley Bozeman joins us as he does every Monday. And considering how the offensive line is playing right now, I mean, my God. And also Evan Washburn joins us after he was on the sidelines today for CBS. So we'll do that tomorrow on GCR. Rita, love you. Always appreciate it.
Love.
All right. We will see you in a couple weeks. This has been the Project Game Day postgame show after a butt kicking. Let's go, Eagles.